You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to the Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
We gotta do something. Absolutely. You know what we gotta do? Toga party.
Toga! Toga!
Toga! Toga! Toga! Toga! Toga!
I want you to kill every golfer on the course.
Check me if I'm wrong, Sandy, but if I kill all the golfers, they're gonna lock me up and throw away the key.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh?
That's right, folks. It is Hump Day. Welcome to the middle of the fastest 4 hours of conservative talk radio anywhere. I am one half of the crew, Mr. Rick Robinson. He is the other half, Mr. Dan Wright. Good evening, sir. I'd ask how you're doing, but I've already been watching your Twitter feed, so you seem to be in kind of the same mood as me and Sam.
I'm okay. Here's we'll start right off. I'm okay. My voice is still a little crackly, but I seem to be on the downward slope of getting over this. Yeah, I took basically a week off Twitter, and I came back on basically today.
You picked the wrong
and
day. What's that line from the
I picked
movie?
the wrong day
to rejoin Twitter.
Yeah, I deactivated my account and just said if it's not there, whatever, I won't be tempted to look at it. I just deactivated it for about a week. I come back today. Okay, here's where I stand, and here's where I've always been. I've never been 100% pro-life against abortion. I never have. I've always understood basically where we are or where we have been for about the last 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. I understand it. Number one, abortion is not a constitutional right. Roe versus Wade was a decision by the courts based off of the Constitution. There is nothing in the Constitution. There is no amendment. There is nothing that says abortion is a right. That's where we'll start. Number two, you have New York, Rhode Island, a couple other states passing laws that basically say a kid can be terminated up to the point of birth. I'm sorry, that is wrong. That is absolutely positively wrong. Then you have states like Alabama that will come back and they will pass laws that are totally extreme on the other side. I admit it, it's totally extreme. But at this point, I get it. I get doing it. I do. Because the ghouls on the other side that want abortion to be abortion on demand, I can have it for whatever, any reason, wherever during my freaking pregnancy, because I don't feel good about having this baby, and this baby is at 9 months. 9 freaking months. So these idiots think that there's not going to be any backlash from laws like that. They really honestly believe there's not going to be any backlash. The Republicans are Nazis. The Republicans are the devil. They're terrorists because they're taking a woman's right away from her. No, they're not. They're not. There is a federal law that says you are entitled to an abortion up to a certain point. That will override any state law. Which, totally different subject, that's a problem, but that will override any state law. You cannot advocate for killing a baby that is literally 9 months old. Sorry, Ron. Literally 9 months old. And then not expect backlash for it. You can't. There's people that are moderate thinking on abortion, which I lean more pro-life, but there's a little bit of moderate in there where I've always said, I understand if you got raped by your uncle, you may not want to have that baby. I get it. I won't sit here and say that I'm happy about it, but I get it. The pro-aborts are pushing me to the point where I say, no, none of it. They're pushing me to that point because of where they want to go. So by where they want to go, what they don't understand is they're pushing people that could have been All right, well, we keep things the way they are. No, things the way they are isn't good enough for them. It has to go further and further and further. That's how the left works. It always has to go further, and it never ends. It never freaking ends. So they're going to take people like me that could be slightly moderate, at least, on the subject, and push me to, no, you know what? No, let's go the other direction. Because it's just a human life. Because they hate human life. Human life destroys the environment. They hate human life. Human life takes up more of the resources. Human life in this country takes up more of the resources that they can have for people that don't live in this country. It's all agenda. All with them, it's all agenda driven. With us, it's more of a morals. We have morals. We're not ghouls. We don't want to kill people. I'm not even a big proponent of the death penalty. Honestly, I think the death penalty puts people out of their freaking misery. Let them be miserable. Let them spend the rest of their life they die. Don't give them any TV. Don't let them read books. Let them sit in a room in solitary for the rest of their life.
Don't hold back, man. Tell us how you really feel.
Oh, it's really starting to infuriate me. I mean, they push it further and further. Okay, this point isn't enough. We need a little more. We need a little more. We need a little more. Okay, up until the baby's being born, let's just pull the baby out and slit its throat. That's how these people are. She doesn't want the baby. Just pull it out and slit its throat. And I'm not saying that all of them are like that. There are people that are pro-choice that are reasonable. There are. And this isn't aimed at them. What's aimed at is the freaking base in the Democrat Party that no matter what they do, they're going to freaking cater to 10% of the people. That's what they're going to do. They're going to cater to 10% of the people to get elected. Because those 10% of the people are the people that are standing up and talking. It's the same problem in the Republican Party. The 10% of the people that are way wacko outright are the ones that are talking, other than people like you and me and some friends of ours. But we're few. We're few. I got into it today with a freaking Trump supporter. I'm personally, at this point, basically I'm a Trump supporter. But I got into it with him, and he called me a bunch of fucking names and acted like a leftist. Sorry. He acted like a complete leftist, calling me a bunch of freaking names. You know, don't do that. That's not going to win for you. Yeah, I'm a little pissed off, Rick.
Just
Sorry.
a little. The following program may contain adult themes and coarse language. Listener discretion is advised. All right, so let's back up and kind of go over things point by point by point that you've kind of brought up, because I have to admit I agree with about 100% of what you said, because I too am not one of those people. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not one of those people that's ever going to call for abortion to be illegal, but I have a different take on that, because I don't necessarily want abortion to be illegal. I want it to be unthinkable, because here's the thing, and this is one of the things that tripped me out today. Because I hadn't had much of a chance to pay attention to what was going on with Twitter until I got home and started doing research. And then while I was producing for the shows that come on before this one, I started paying attention to some of the threads that are going around and some of the things that have been said in the last 24 hours. And some of the things that the left is using as a justification for why this Alabama bill, which is what everybody's up in a tizzy about that now got signed into law, should have never happened. So there was a blue check who put out a tweet that said basically the only reason this happened in Alabama was because there were more black women in Alabama, and that's why they wanted to outlaw abortion, because they were trying to take reproductive rights away from black women. So that's not the worst of it, though, because one of the top replies I saw in the same thread basically said this is because white people who run the state have stock in for-profit prisons, so they want more black babies so they'll be full. So this person basically just said all black babies have a future either in an abortion tray or in a penitentiary. But I'm the racist for saying that I think every baby should have a right to life once it's been created. Because, and this is not a popular view, and again, I'm not trying to force my view on anyone else, but once a life has been created, you have to decide whether you're going to allow that life to continue. Whatever situation created that life, that is a personal decision that you have to make. As for me, my wife, and the people that I know, we have all decided at one point and another, no matter how inconvenient things may seem at the time, it's more important that that life be given a chance to, become a person and be a real person and decide what they want to do as they grow up and they, do the things that everybody else does. But to the left, they keep using this argument, clump of cells, clump of cells, clump of cells. Well, it's just an egg. It's not. It's a fertilized egg. Guys, look, I hate to tell you this, but whether you realize it or not, life begins as far as a human life, it begins the second the sperm fertilizes the egg, because that's when two things come together to make a new thing. And it's not the sperm and the egg anymore. It's the beginnings of a human child. The concept that anything in a woman's uterus could be anything other than a human baby is astounding to me, because it's not like we grow potatoes in our uteruses for those women that have them and men that pretend they want to have them. We don't. Your body doesn't grow potatoes. It doesn't grow alligators. It doesn't make killer whales. When you reproduce, you have a baby. You make a baby. If you want to kill that baby, that's between you and whoever else needs to make that decision. But don't you dare come at me and say that we need to be able to have abortions up to and including the moment of birth, just because the mom might be a little bit discomforted, to the point where there was a governor who said, well, with this law, what will happen is a child will be born, we'll wrap it in a blanket, we'll put it somewhere safe, and then we'll have a talk about whether or not that life gets to continue. You already broke the rules, so fuck you. That's what I have to say to that governor. Fuck you. That plain enough.
Yeah. No, and you're right. I mean, I'm in a sense, I'm living it right now. Laura's daughter lives with us. She's almost 23. She's pregnant. She was in an abusive relationship. She got pregnant in an abusive relationship. Nothing means more to this girl than this baby. Nothing. We paid for her to come down here. Her other daughter gave up her bedroom so she could have a bedroom. We paid for her to come down here. She's working. She came down here. She found a job. She's working. She's 6 months pregnant, and she's working to help, to help out. But nothing means more to her than that baby. We moved her down here so she could have a good environment and have what she needs and have some of what she wants, as much as we can give her. But she went out, she got a job. She's working at the cafe up the street. She's working 4 days a week for like 7 hours. Pregnant, but the first thing on her mind always is that baby.
As well it should be.
And like I said, the baby came from an abusive relationship. I mean, she's down here. She has nothing to do with the father anymore. I mean, I'm not going to say they don't talk. They talk occasionally. And it usually ends in her telling him to F off. But she doesn't even care about... She really doesn't even care about support or anything else. That's her baby, and it's her life right now. And she understands that. And that's, you know, I see that in her. I see that love. You know, she gets excited. She gets excited when something doesn't feel right. She's like, you know, wow, my stomach, it feels like my muscles just stretched again. Yeah, you're pregnant. And she's like, I know. And every time that baby kicks, she's like, oh my God, it's great to watch. You know, that's my future grandchild. It's awesome. And to think of taking that away just out of fucking convenience, just, it baffles my mind. And like I said, I get it. I understand in instances of rape or incest or whatever, I get that. I understand. But watching women celebrate their abortions, celebrate taking a human life. I mean, and being a guy that doesn't sit here and say necessarily that I think freaking abortion should be illegal, still, life starts at conception. As soon as those cells join and those cells split, that's a human life. The same people that are behind aborting a baby up until almost the point of delivery are the same people that would want somebody that shot a pregnant dog put down. Give him the death penalty. He killed puppies.
You know, you just...
Give him the death penalty. He killed kittens.
Or the spotted owl. Or what was the name of that fish in California where they completely rerouted a water supply and killed farms because they
a fish that wasn't indigenous to California. To save this fish, they destroyed farmers' lives and diverted water away from them. And still didn't save the fish. They care more about a damn fish than they do about a human life. Humans, they care more about a fish than they do about a human life.
Well, I mean, it only makes sense, though, because look at the dehumanization tactics they use. You can see it all over Twitter tonight and for basically as soon as this thing exploded. I mean, they're talking down every aspect of it. You see it in Alabama. Well, this is only because they want to control black women's reproductive rights. Well, this is only because all the white people that own stock in prisons want more black babies in their prisons. This is the same justification they always use. They make these asinine, racist statements, and it's fine because it's them. But we say, look, I think every child that is conceived should have the ability to at least... I mean, you know, not every child's going to make it. Let's just be real. You know, they're
have a chance. Everybody deserves a right to have a chance.
Exactly. That's what the Declaration of Independence. That's its opening sentence. Everyone has a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These people are depriving an entire generation and have been since 1973 of life. We're talking now 2-3 generations. There have been, I mean, and again, please do not misunderstand what I'm about to say because I'm not trying to make light of the Holocaust. But if you want to talk a Holocaust, we have killed more babies in this country than Hitler killed Jews.
18 million black babies alone.
And that's just one race. Think about that for a second. 18 million African American children were snuffed out before they even had a chance at life. Another pro golfer like Tiger Woods, the next Michael Jordan, just gone. How many people have we allowed to be murdered that could have, you know, created the cure for cancer? That could have solved world hunger? we're killing the very people.
Been the president of the United States. Been the president of the United States.
Exactly.
Honestly. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just looked at as a form of birth control. That's what pisses me off. It's not birth control. It's not meant to be birth control.
It's meant to be a last resort.
I've known people in my life. I know a woman in my life that's not somebody I even associate with anymore that had 3 abortions. 3. When the fuck do you get some birth control? 3 abortions. And then I know people in my life who had abortions that are still haunted by them. Haunted.
And that's the truth of it right there. Because go ahead, sorry.
Well, Sam, our friend Sam, Little Bunny, said something on Twitter today that we cannot, the problem that the pro-life movement tends to have is shaming women that have had abortions. Do not shame women that have had abortions. You do not shame them. You comfort them. Many of them regret having abortions. Never shame a woman that's had an abortion. Even if she's had multiples and you know she's using it for birth control, don't shame them. It makes you look bad. Don't shame them. You try to turn them. Shaming them is not going to turn them.
No, I agree. I don't think shaming is the right take for pretty much anything unless you're just making fun of somebody on Twitter. Because I do that a lot. And I get yelled at for that too, by the way, for people that don't understand my sense of humor. And but I digress. But I agree with you, though. We need to be embracing those people that have made those choices, and especially the ones that we know feel bad about them now. Because the thing that I keep coming back to is, and again, I hate to do this because not everybody has the same faith that I do, but for everybody that's excoriating women right now for killing their children, and I get that. It's easy to do. I get angry about it all the time myself. But I have to remind you that when Jesus died, he died for all of that. So for us to be holding that against them still, especially if we've accepted Christ, even if they haven't, makes no sense. Because we know what he paid for. We know what the cost was. And to be coming at them like, well, you know that was wrong, and you're a moron because you're still not using birth control and you're still killing your children and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't solve anything. That's the same argument that I've been having with the church as a whole for a long time, because they're like, well, I don't want gay people in my church. Where the hell else should they be? They're some of the most lost, tormented people that I know. Where do you want them? Why do you not want them in a church? Well, I don't agree with what they do. Well, Jesus doesn't agree with half of what you do when nobody's looking, but he still loves you.
That's right.
Sorry.
That's right.
Didn't mean to go preachy there.
No. You're absolutely right. When I was doing my show with the previous co-host I had, and you know how both you and I feel about him, but the one thing I will always give him, he was a great pro-life proponent. Always. And I'm guessing he still is. I'm not in touch with him. But I actually did an interview on our show. He had something else going on, and I interviewed a woman that regretted her abortion. And it was gut-wrenching. It was gut-wrenching to interview her. I mean, she was just about in tears talking to me, but she agreed to come on and talk. She regrets it every single day. And it was one of those, she had a one-night stand and she got pregnant and she was like, I just can't handle this. And her parents were like, you can't handle this. and her parents were talking to her, everything else, and saying, you need to get rid of this. She was 18 years old, and boom, she got rid of it. And at the time I interviewed her, she was almost 40, and said that every single day she's haunted by what she did. Because she has kids now. She has 2 kids. And every day she thinks about the brother or sister that her 2 kids don't have. She thinks about it every day. Dreams about it. Wakes up in the middle of the night about it. Years later, 22 years later, still. So, all these people that are pushing for more and more and more and more and more, they never want to hear from people like her. They never want to hear from them. Because it ruins their agenda. It kills their agenda. It's all agenda. It has nothing to do with how they actually feel or don't feel about human life. It's all agenda. They don't care about human life. It's all about defeating the evil Republicans, defeating the evil libertarians. And I'll tell you, interject there a little bit. A real libertarian is total pro-life.
I mean, they would have to be
total pro-life.
Because you're talking about depriving an entire person of their liberty to begin with. But I before we go too much further into that, I want to backtrack to something, because you had mentioned something a second ago, and Al from the chat actually had a kind of a take on another reason why this is going on, and I firmly believe in what he said. And you're right. It's partly about defeating the evil Republicans, slapping down the evil libertarians, but it's also about population control, which is becoming rather apparent, because when it went from safe, legal, and rare to we should use this as birth control because there's already too many people on the planet, and they kind of started tipping their hand.
Well, yeah, and not only that there's already too many people on the planet, but you make abortion illegal, and it's just going to create a bunch of black babies that are going to end up in the prison system. Really? Is that really what you're saying here? Well, so we're right back to Sanger and the KKK. You are just... A person that says that is totally and completely saying Margaret Sanger was right. We need to get rid of black babies.
And that's the scariest thing, is they're actually saying that right now, today, on Twitter. We need
right.
Black women should be able to kill their babies, because otherwise they're just going to be in prison.
Yeah. We need to control the minority population, because the minority population is just overloading our prisons. Oh, you're a racist. Really? I'm a racist? Go fuck yourself. Don't call me a racist while you're sitting there and telling me that if you make abortion illegal in Alabama, it's just going to crowd the Alabama prison system. And don't call me a racist.
Seems legit.
Do not call me a racist.
I mean, that seems like a legit argument, doesn't it? Or, not really. Just kidding.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and people fall for it. People fall for their arguments. That's what kills me. I really honestly believe that there are moderate Democrats out there that are just sitting there, putting their hands to their head and going, what are these people on my side doing? I believe that. Maybe I'm naive, Maybe I am. Maybe I just believe too much in the American people. I mean, I do have plenty of liberals in my family, and I honestly believe that they don't think that abortion should be legal up until the end of the third trimester.
You know, I think the scariest thing that I saw tonight was Pat Robertson coming out against the Alabama abortion law. It was like he says it went too far.
You know what? Pat Robertson's a tool.
But I mean, this is
I've always thought it. But nobody takes him seriously.
No, I agree, but it's just funny to me because I remember, watching the 700 Club off and on when I was a kid, and, kind of got serious about religion and Christianity, and at one point started toying with the idea of going into ministry and actually was helping in a small church for a while. I actually used to watch the 700 Club quite often, and that's one of the things that I used to hear him talk about all the time, was how abortion was terrible in this country, and we had to do something about it. We currently have 29 states trying to do something about it, and it's too far. It's too far.
I'll be honest with you. You know where I think he's coming from is he is a Trump supporter. And he's a little worried about the direction Trump's going to take on it. And you know what? That's a whole other story. And I don't know what Trump's view is on it, and I really don't care. And that's where the problem is in this country. Trump's the president and things are going good. I'm happy. If Obama was the president and things were going good, I'd be happy. If Hillary Clinton was the president and things were going good, I'd be happy. The problem is everything is identity politics now. That's the problem. Trump's the president. Everything's going good. I'm happy for the most part. There's still things that piss me off, but it's not Trump's fault that they piss me off. And as far as what Trump's doing, everything's fine. And it would have been the same with me if Obama, for 8 years of Obama, if everything was great for me and my health care was still good and everything was great and I was making money, my company was doing great, I would have been like, fine, he's a Democrat, I don't care, everything's great, he's doing great. That's the way things are supposed to be. Bill Clinton wasn't a horrible president. He wasn't a great president. He did a lot of things I didn't like. Oh, I was in good shape and I was pretty happy during the Clinton presidency. I was. I'll admit that. The where we are right now, it's bad. It's bad. It's you agree with 100% of what I say, or you suck. Because I got it again from a Trump supporter today. He was being a dick. I said he was being a dick. And he was. He was just being a dick. I told him. I said, you're the problem. I said, you're no better than a leftist. You just got to be a dick with somebody that agrees with you with 98% of what you stand for. But you got to be a dick over the 2%. You just got to be a dick. Stop being a dick. Everything will be better. It really will. Well, and then they nailed me on some freaking grammar Nazi bullshit. And I was like, you know what? I told you you're being a dick, and you nailed me on grammar Nazi shit, and I agree with you on 98% of what you believe in. And you're going to be a dick. Okay, go ahead, be a dick. You're the problem. You're as much of a problem as the leftists.
Well, and that's honestly one of the biggest problems that I think we have going on right now. We have the extreme right and the extreme left that has completely been taken over by ideologues, and they don't care which hill they die on. They're ready to die on any hill at any given time, no matter what. Even if they're arguing with somebody who really only disagrees with him 2% of the time, they're ready, willing, and able to die over that 2%, which is stupid. Because I keep flashing back to Reagan, and one of the things that I remember hearing Reagan say quite often is, because it was back when Tip O'Neill was in charge of the opposition party. He said, Tip and I would go nose to nose, toe to toe from 8 to 5. 5:30, we were, if we wanted to do so, we were in a bar together having a beer. At the end of the day, it's not about somebody who agrees with you 100% of the time being your ally. It's not about somebody who disagrees with you some of the time being your enemy. Somebody who disagrees with you 20% of the time is not your enemy. They're 80% your ally. We have lost that somewhere in this country, and I don't understand how we get it back. And it's gotten even worse now because we're now going to war verbally, on social media and sometimes face to face with people that we agree with 98% of the time, but they won't give up the 2% because, I'm not a full-on true Trump supporter because I don't believe he's a messiah. I already have a messiah. I picked my messiah already. There's not room for another one.
That's right. And like I said, I'm on board. I mean, don't try to do anything other than shut the hell up, because I'm on board. So this guy, he's this big Trump supporter. You look at his timeline, and every single one of his tweets is a retweet, and it's all either Donald Trump or fans of Donald Trump or this of Donald Trump, that of Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump, and this and Donald. You know what? He's not a god. He's not a freaking god. And everything he does isn't great. He's doing fine. He's doing fine. He's, in my mind, as far as I'm concerned, he's doing a good job of making himself one of the better presidents I've ever seen. He's actually doing a good job if he'd shut his mouth and stay off Twitter. But, again, that's another story. But stop acting like everything he does is brilliant, because it's not. And it never was with Reagan for me, and it never was with Bush 1, Bush 2, with Clinton, with anybody. Nothing is ever perfect. It's not. Bill Clinton did some good things. He did some real bad things. George Bush 1 did some good things, did some bad things. Reagan did a lot of good things. He also did some bad things. They all did good and bad. All of them. Sorry about the coughing. I can't hit the mute button anymore. Yeah. Every president we had did good things. Well, most presidents we've had did some good things. Most presidents we've had did some bad things. Well, there's another thing. Okay, most presidents we had did some good things. No, all presidents we've had did some bad things. All of them. Every one of them.
Stop slandering George Washington. Just kidding.
Even George Washington, I guarantee you, if you went back and really studied and did the history, you would find some shit that George Washington did, and you'd be like, that sucked. Why did he do that? Everybody, they're human. They're all human. They're all human. Barack Obama may be a little less human than most of them, but they're all human.
Oh, no. She's perfectly human. She's just transgender.
I had to add that. Sorry.
No. She's perfectly human. She's just transgender. That's why she. Yeah. That's why That's why Barack always wore mom jeans and Michelle had a bulger in the dress. They switched roles. Just saying.
It just it kills me that I can spend, like I said, I was off Twitter for a week. I came back at the wrong time. I spend every second that I'm on Twitter during a day either arguing with pro-aborts or arguing with somebody on my own side. Somebody who's on my own side because they got to fucking tell a girl off her Abby, just off of looking at her Abby, she got to tell her to go eat another donut because she agrees with him on 90% of what he believes in. And the one thing, and she called him on something because he was being a douche. And she called him on something and told her to go eat another donut. Really? That's pretty freaking leftist of you, dude, because that's what leftists do. They take on somebody's looks and go after them.
Well,
and that's a Trump supporter.
Well, I mean,
you know, that's a diehard Trump supporter. That's how they act. They act like leftists. We're on your side, dude. We're basically on your side. Shut the fuck up and move along. Move along.
Yeah, but if you'll notice, and this is one of the things that I was actually a little bit afraid of with Trump getting the nomination and eventually being elected, and it's not enough that I've changed my mind about voting for him, but the one thing that Trump is teaching the right to do is to fight like the left, because let's not forget, up until recently, he was a registered Democrat. So he's using a lot of their own tricks against them. One of the people that I know and trust really well, and he's been on the show a lot, actually gave me some insight into Trump's Twitter game because his wife is actually part of the re-election camp. Trump uses the things that he says on Twitter as a complete and total distraction, because if you'll notice, we're not talking about the 2020 election right now. Everybody, all the pundits are still trashing Trump. They're trashing Trump over Russia. The left is still clinging to Russia. I heard somebody today call in, and I heard the audio on another show, Chad Benson, who also, they have his show carried on the show the station that I work with from time to time here in Oklahoma City. And he played audio from a caller from another show that was basically talking about, you know, that the Democrats needed to build up their message and stay on message, because at this point the only reason Trump's in the White House is because of Russia. He's not protecting our national security. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. And nobody's talking about it because they're railing at him about what he says on Twitter. And I honestly think in some ways he's using that as a tool. Either that or he's just getting lucky again, because I still don't know him personally. I only know people that are in his orbit that are telling me part of what they've been told his plan is. So I don't know. But what I do know is pretty much everything he does is working to a point. Even if, as Orty likes to say, he is the Leslie Nielsen of presidents and everything he backs into seems to be pulled off somehow. Because that is very likely the case. But, you know, at this point...
Well, yeah, he's... No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you,
no,
but... He is maybe the best Twitter troll I've ever seen in my entire life.
He's definitely got it down. But let's be fair, he's been a good Twitter troll the entire time he's been on Twitter. I mean, he had one of the largest following accounts I'd ever seen before he ever even got to be president of the United States.
Absolutely. I mean, he knows how to use social media. And you know, sometimes it does make me mad when he says stuff, but at the same time, he's not a politician. He went from businessman to president. He does what he does. He's just going to do what he does. I've accepted that. He's just going to do it. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm always happy about stupid fights he picks on Twitter or whatever. I'm not, but he's just doing what he does. He's a freaking civilian in the White House is what he is. He's a civilian businessman in the White House. That's what he is. He's not a politician. There's something good about that. I've started to realize that there's something good about that. He pisses people off. I love it. I'm starting to absolutely love it. He just pisses people off. He's just like, whatever. I'm the president, bitch. I kind of like that.
And it really, I mean, and that's honestly kind of the tack that he's taking. But here's the thing, and this is the reason why it works for him. And this is the reason why, even though things aren't going exactly the way he wants, Donald Trump is actually doing a better job of a lot of things that anybody's giving him credit for. That's like, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit next hour, because there are things that are still going on that we're not talking about because we're too busy fighting with each other about the abortion law in Alabama, and we're too busy trying to say, you may think he was elected by Russia, but there's no proof of that. He's been quietly and pretty steadily negotiating a lot of things that nobody's talking about, because all we're talking about is, well, now China says they're not going to do this. China doesn't have a choice, because we buy a lot more of their stuff than they buy of ours, and if we keep sticking to our guns, eventually they're going to have to come back to the table. And I understand that nobody wants to talk about tariffs, but I want people to understand something. When we use the word trade war, that's used as a pejorative. But I want you to understand, we are legitimately in a trade war with China, and they have been winning. They have been pirating our own technologies and our own intellectual property and selling it back to us for pennies on the dollar. Companies are leaving China.
Oh, I have it.
Go ahead.
I have it sitting on my porch right now. I have a badass little freaking waterproof stereo, Bluetooth, takes anything, Bluetooth, it takes SD cards, it takes whatever you want to put in it. It's Chinese made. I got it cheap. Hey, it's great. We sit out here and we just connect a phone to it and we've got great sound. It sounds awesome. It's all technology that was developed here. All of it. I'll admit, yeah, I bought it. I bought it off a Wish. I mean, I got to spend my money the way I want to spend my money. I can't afford a frickin' Bose.
Well, yeah, no,
sounds almost as good.
And I get that, and I'm not disputing anybody who's taking advantage of the fact that China's stealing our stuff from us and then selling it back to us. But the point that I'm trying to make is, at this point, China's in trouble because companies have figured out what they're doing, because everybody moved everything to Taiwan back before it was basically given back to China. And since China has gotten control of Taiwan again, because it was capitalist, and they moved a lot of the industries moved production and things there because it was so much cheaper. But now that it's under control of China, they have been finding ways to steal technology, and they have been selling it back to us. There are companies that are now leaving China in droves because now that they basically own and run Taiwan, they're like, we won't do business here anymore because we've realized that you're stealing our technology from us. And the thing about it is, the Chinese didn't lie about it. They point blank told you, to do business here, we have access to all of your intellectual property rights if you want to continue to do business here. So it's not like, that's like the people that come here from China and steal stuff, which happens. Please see the Democratic senator who had a Chinese spy as a driver for how many decades. So it does happen.
Oh, what? You're kidding me.
Yeah, you've heard about that, right? I hope. I was going to say, I think you're being sarcastic. Of course. Well, I thought you were being sarcastic, but when you're congested like this, it throws your tone off a bit.
No, but that's okay. That's okay, though. It's okay that she had a spy driving her around. It's okay. Do you know why it's okay? She's a Democrat. Just say.
Yeah, I was about to say,
and it's okay
because she's a Democrat. But it also kind of makes a nice little movie mashup. the spy was the spy was driving Miss Crazy. Just saying. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway. So we completely blew through the break, and we're just about out of time. So why don't you remind folks where they can hang out with you when you're not on the air with me?
Well, I'm back on Twitter again. I took some time off. You can find me at Thelonious Irish, and you can find me on Facebook at Daniel Wright. Still haven't gone public with my account, but if you search hard enough, you'll find me.
Yeah, he's there. You just have to send him a friend request to interact with him because he's a snob.
My old show account is actually starting to get some heat, so I might start posting from that again. I need to kind of redo the bio on that though, because I really don't think my show's coming back after 2 years of being on hiatus.
Why not? You have a house now.
Time.
There's always
is not time a problem occasionally with this show?
Yeah. Well, never say never though, because at some point you may decide to bring it back.
I keep and she's been up and down on it. I've talked to Laura. I might have an idea for a show with myself and my much better half.
Now that could be entertaining.
Yes, it really could. You want a 4'11" redhead from Rhode Island?
Yeah.
She speaks her mind, I'll tell you that much.
Well, she has to if she hangs out with you.
Oh, she does.
All right, folks. Well, we're just about out of time for this.
Wait.
What?
Rick,
What do you
where
want?
can we find you?
Nowhere. Actually, you can follow along with me on Twitter at RowdyRick73. You can find me on Facebook under Rick Robinson, and mine's Insta and IDW under at RowdyRick73. You can also follow along with the station pretty much everywhere by finding KLR and radio. And that's where you can hang out with us. And if you like what we're doing here, please make sure that you are liking the Facebook page for the station, following Twitter accounts, etc. And feel free to interact, even if you don't want to hang out in the chat room. But that is going to do it for this particular episode of the Robinson and Wright Show. I will be back with you here in just a couple minutes, because we're going to get reset, and then we're going to do the whole America Off the Rails thing. So we've got 1 hour left of the fastest 4 hours of conservative talk radio. But, folks, that means this particular episode is over.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?